Hey guys, this is Tiggy Maximus with Tiggy Maximus Talks, episode 236 on Spotify and YouTube. I'm glad you guys are able to watch these episodes and listen to these episodes of the podcast. Also, to spread the word of this podcast to your friends and family and everyone in between. If you haven't already, you can donate to the podcast. There's a link on my Spotify episode which takes you to the donation page within Spotify in relation to the podcast. And there's a link on my YouTube in the description. It will take you to the Spotify donation page. So donate if you want. On this episode 236, I'm going to talk about quite a few comedy shows. And I went to a show at the Mic Drop. There was two shows. There was the Major Malfunction, which is produced by Cheryl Sunstein and Diana Puig. And there was Ube World with Mikey Perry. Those are two good shows to go to. And then there was also the Privateer, run by Heather Marie. And then, I guess, if I can fit this in, the Madhouse with Sabha Agarwal. So, let's talk about comedy, guys. So yeah, let's say 4 shows. I can do it. The first show I went to, Mic Drop Comedy Club, Claremont Mesa Boulevard, right by the courthouse, right by Denny's. Major Malfunction. I've seen this show quite a few times, and normally you kind of share what is your major malfunction. Something quirky about you. The show is run by Cheryl Sunstein and Diana Puig. Great tandem, great duo, and they had Kyle Dean as the host. And Kyle went up, did his usual jokes. Some parts of his jokes while hosting was pretty funny. The other ones were kind of, kind of hit or miss, so to speak. I want to say that Caldine, let's say 8.2 out of 10. And then he went to introduce all the comics. One comic he did bring up was, well, producer themselves, Cheryl Sunstein. I don't think she was up for too long actually, but she did talk about her whole amusement park ambassador experience, and that honestly that might have been her best show. Everything else, I don't know. There was too many laughs with anything else, but the amusement park ambassador was the one that I actually remember her the most at. So, Cheryl, I want to say she was an 8 out of 10. And then Kyle Dean also did bring up Diana Puig. She got to talk about her haircut and her knee leg injury. She did pretty well, and everyone was just fascinated about her scooter injury. So, and she did talk about her doctor visits. She does have a preference in haircut. Somehow it kind of it kind of references Tinkerbell, I guess. I would say that she probably got some. I would say she probably got some good laughs. A good chunk of people in the crowd was laughing for about maybe more than half of her set. I want to say that Diana Puig was 8.5 out of 10. Um, there's a new person that came up that Kyle introduced. I think her name was Jessa Ponce. Um, uh, she has some funny jokes, but I kind of felt that maybe just less than half of what she was saying on stage was pretty funny, and um, crowd did laugh at a few times during her set. Um, I want to say that Jessa was, let's say, 8 out of 10. Um, and then there was Dr. Mo. She went up. Um, Dr. Mo did talk about being always, showing up late to work, just because positive outlook in life. um, I can kind of relate actually, and but hers, she probably got a few good laughs in there, but it was kind of mixed with this crowd for the rest of her set. So I want to say that Dr. Mel was probably 8.1 out of 10. So so we got Jessa, Cheryl, Diana, Dr. Mo, Cheryl, Diana, Jessa, Dr. Mo, Kyle, and let's see. I did get to see for the first time Andy Whiskey. I've seen her name a lot on flyers, and first time I got to see her perform. She's kind of intense. She did talk about dating. Um, she did talk about her health conditions. Um, and she didn't do too bad. I would say that maybe half the crowd liked her, and um, I got to talk to her for a little bit before the show and a little bit halfway through the show. Um, she seems pretty cool. I want to say that maybe, yeah, almost half of her stuff that she said on stage, kind of about half the room laughing, and yeah, I would say did pretty well. Annie Whiskey, let's say that she was a 8.3 out of 10. And then you got your headliner, Bijan. For his last name, but Bijan does like burritos. Um, he had some fun stuff to say on stage. He probably had the most laughs, and I would assume because he was the headliner. Um, crowd, most of the crowd, let's say 75-80% of the crowd liked him a lot for more than half of his set. So I want to say that Bijan, let's say he was an 8.7 out of 10. Good show overall from beginning to end. Nice to see some new people on the lineup. Great hosted by Kyle, and can't wait to see another show from Major Malfunction down the road. I did get to meet some of Dr. Mo's coworkers. Um, one of the guys, I think his name was Wayne, and I think the other guy's name was Alan. So they were kind of cool to talk to for a little bit, and they had a good time. Um, the next show I went to was Ube World. It was just shortly after this show. Um, Mikey Perry produces the show. He actually brought the show out to Texas. I'm sure he's brought it out to Arizona as well. It's a fun show. Has games during the show, a musical performance, and a few good, funny comedians. I think he had. I think Mikey was hosting the whole thing actually, so he did a little bit of crowd work. Um, I do believe that some of the crowd work may have had some hesitant participants, but I think at some point he kind of made it work. Um, uh, I would say overall, if we did tell any jokes in junction with the crowd work, I want to say Mikey Perry was 8.4 out of 10 overall. And then he brought up Meech Natarito. He was on um, that one police TV show on CBS. The I just remembered the main character is uh, the guy was on Cheers. um, yeah. Oh, I think it was Ted Danza. Ted Danza. Um, yeah. Uh, the name of the show that he was on with Ted Danson. Yeah, yeah. I don't know the name. Oh well. Mitch Natarito, I think he was. He opened the door for Ted Danson and this other female lady, and I guess he's known as Donkey Dag on the show. I want to say the show was called like Good Cop or um, darn. Um, it's gonna bother me. But yeah, I remember seeing that show, and um, so Mitch did go up. He always has this great joke um, about how aunties are a little can be pretty extreme, funny, and they they somehow can make fun of you and also make you feel bad. I guess Mitch had talked about when you go to a party and see that you're eating too much, getting fat, and then also if you don't eat a lot, then the auntie will make you feel bad for being too skinny or too fat. Like, what's wrong with my food? Um, he did have some funny things about it, and that was probably was one of his best jokes. and that got the big room laughing for maybe just that one joke. But um, yeah, I think he did talk about the show that he was on too. That one clip is pretty much his most famous clip. So, but overall, I think that Mitch did pretty well. I want to say he was an 8.4 out of 10. And then Mikey did bring up, I believe it was Lila Hart, and boy was she funny. She talked about being small, short, and the show that she runs called Micromania. Um, it's basically a show with midget strippers, and apparently, Lila Hart is the tallest person in the whole group at 4'2". Says there's a stripper who is 2'10", who's kind of like can make fireworks, um, can make a guy explode apparently during a lap dance during the show. So I'm kind of interested. Um, and I remember she talked about how she was always talking back to the police or like the airline security or something, and mentioned how people are worried, like, why are people arresting a child? Um, that's just funny. And Lila's pretty cool. I got to talk to her for the first time. Second time I've seen her actually at the mic drop, but I never got to talk to her the first time. So I was fortunate enough to talk to her the second time. And she gave me some orange glasses. I like them. And I got some stickers from Lila. That was cool. Honestly, Lila Hart, I think she was a 8.8 out of 10. Another performer on the show was Tony Castro. I guess his name is Uncle Ube. And he always liked to do some dance numbers during the set, kind of do some twerking. But I think he kind of started off a little bit slow, but it picked up during the show or his set. Crowd kind of liked him, maybe half the crowd. Um, I want to say he was probably an 8.4 out of 10. And I think there was Eric Esteban. He always does the show with Mikey Perry, and he talked about growing up and speaking Tagalog, and how I guess his mom would always say a phrase to him, but he asks his dad what it means. It was just funny. Plus, it makes you think of The Sound of Music. Eric, I want to say, did pretty well. But I did some crowd work too. Um, but overall, I want to say Eric Esteban was an 8.5 out of 10. I believe another person that was on the show, she's the featured comic. I guess Rosal. I guess she's moved out to Arizona. She does talk about church and sex. um, she talks about praying, and she started off pretty well for like the first 3 to 5 minutes, but then like she talked about some stuff during the middle, and then the last 5 minutes, I think she might have lost the crowd by that time. But overall, she did pretty well for the most part. But I kind of felt that it was some mixed reception for her. Um, but she's good. But sometimes she might go go a little dark to the point that she might lose the crowd at some point. So I want to say Rosalie, she was 8.4 out of 10. Um, there was a game they played with eggplant, and I guess you have to hit something over with an eggplant, but you have to swing it from your hips. I think like the string was around the waist, and the string was also tied to an eggplant. You had to swing it and swing it. That was pretty funny. um, the thing is, that game was kind of hard to see if you're not in the front row. If you manage to sit a few rows back, you can't really see what's going on with all the people in the way. Um, but the show ended with a singer, Jinky. Jinky got to sing one song. I think it was Demon Hunters. I think it was made famous by Blackpink. So I would say that Jinky has a good voice, and she needs to read a few lines off the karaoke screen, but then afterwards she didn't really need to do it anymore because um, she really, I think that's like one of her songs that she likes to cover. So, but yeah, she performs in Rancho Cucamonga, and she does perform at the Bellwall Park for the Samaha Festival. It's a Filipino American festival. But she performs pretty much whenever she has gigs. So she seems pretty nice to talk to, and good voice, and her performance was like a 8.75 out of 10. I did get to talk to most of the performers. Everyone did pretty well. Great show from beginning to end. Can't wait to go back. I did get to watch The Privateer, which is produced by Heather Marie, and there are three comedians: Heather Marie herself, John Liu, and Joey Medina. Apparently, I guess Joey Medina was one of the Latin kings of comedy. He does have, I guess, a dirty style of jokes. I did have some good food though. I got the fettuccine with marinara sauce. Had it with chicken and meatball. It was really good. I would say it was an 8.8 out of 10 for their pasta with chicken and meatball. Heather Marie, she went up first, did some jokes. She was alright. I want to say she was an 8.3 out of 10. And then we got John Liu. I believe he's from LA. So that was kind of interesting though. And he did talk about some stereotypes, and he got really funny though. Crowd started to like him a lot. To get out of some things or get things into his favor, he would play into the stereotype. And I guess buffets, Chinese buffets, apparently is part of our stereotype. Uh, well, yeah, got to meet him. He's a really cool guy. I guess we have a thing for food, so I can relate to John. And then we get to Joey Medina. And Joey Medina, I think he kind of started off a little bit weird. The vibe was off. He kind of hit
a nerve with the crowd early on, but he kind of won back the crowd a little bit, so he did come back a little bit stronger with his set, and it was kind of on and off throughout the rest of his set, and then like yeah, he still he got some good laughs from the crowd, most of the crowd. Um, he does tour with like for like doing shows for the military at bases and stuff. So he did that with Heather. What was interesting was that Joey Medina brought up the fact that um, uh, I guess for some, he kind of brought up how beautiful Heather Marie was on stage, and then I guess when he talked about his wife, um, I guess he mentioned something about, if the reason why that he got married to his wife is because Heather was taken already. So he kind of played into that. It was kind of interesting. I have to say that it was pretty interesting for his whole set because it was a lot of like a roller coaster. And it's always good that someone who's very established in the business knows how to bring back the crowd. Even though he did kind of went off the rails a little bit or the vibe was off, but he knew how to kind of, bring it back and, try to finish strong. And, the people were not like tuned out or anything. It's just want to see what Joey can do on stage despite his style of comedy. So overall, let's see, Heather Marie 8.3, John Liu, I want to say he was an 8.7, and Joey Medina, let's say he was an 8.5. So good food. It's a good crowd. It's good to see a good amount of people there, and I do enjoy being there on Tuesday nights. So this Privateer show by Heather Marie in Oceanside is every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and it runs for about an hour. So if you like good food and you like to see some good comics, come out to her show on Tuesdays in Oceanside at the Privateer Marketplace. You might see me there. And well, that's it for me, guys. Next episode, I'm gonna talk about Subha Agarwal and the lineup at the Madhouse. That was a show on, I believe it was a Wednesday night. I think that was like August 20th. So look forward to that episode, and I'll probably talk about a few other comedy shows. So, well, I'll talk to you later, guys. I'm still doing my fantasy football drafting. I have another 2 more drafts to go before the season starts on September 4th. Cowboys and Eagles are going to play each other to start off the 2025 season, and Chiefs and Chargers are going to play each other September 5th in Brazil. The game is going to be on YouTube. Should be a lot of fun. Yeah, football season's here, guys. Well, that's it for me. The saying goes, boom. Tiggy Maximus signing off. Baby. Booyaka. Shama. There, guys. Yeet.